The Metropolitan Police has revealed it's made a small dent into tackling crime on the streets of central London. Authorities released today a dramatic security camera vision from 2 operations where undercover cops caught robbers in the act as the criminals attempted to strip them of high-end watches. The crackdown has led to 31 arrests and currently 21 convictions. You can see the police absolutely getting stuck into some of these characters, which I think is what all of us have been looking for quite some time. Joining me now is former police detective Mr. Peter Bleksley. Peter, welcome to the show. Thanks very much for joining us. It's quite heartwarming to see good old-fashioned policing, as we call it. You see 2 guys walking down the street, clearly sort of as bait, if you like, for these horrible gangs who have been terrorising the West End for probably the best part of a good year at least, where they literally just take anything they want and nobody can do much about it. But now, finally, something's happened.
A wonderful bit of police work. Somebody from the Met said it was new. It's not new.
Right.
Undercover policing is decades old,
Right.
but credit where it's due. Long overdue, but very, very welcome. And the public today have reacted so positively towards the Met Police. Finally, we've got a good news story for the Met, and they love it.
Because they're doing what they're paid to do, right? They're not dancing about with protesters. They're not giving bottles of water to Just Stop Oil. They're not, you know, making sure that communities are in touch with their feelings. They're just robbing, they're just beating bad guys, basically.
Police work and not social work.
Yes.
And that's what the public want. They've loved it seeing these robbers getting whacked, tasered, slung on the ground, handcuffed and carted off.
Rugby tackle.
Absolutely loved it. And that is what the public want. That's how their homes, their watches, their cars and everything else and their loved ones, that's how they want them protected. They don't want fluffy, they want robust.
Exactly, and they want visible activity as well, because, I mean, what that will do, hopefully, is it might make these horrible, ghastly individuals who think it's all right to just rob people and rip them off and beat them up if necessary. Well, maybe we shouldn't do that just in case they're coppers.
Interesting note as we talk about these despicable robbers. 21 of them convicted. All their pictures are widely out there on social media. Not one white face among them.
Really?
So, So the trouble is, the sentences are pretty paltry. I think the longest one that somebody got was like 2 years and 3 months or something. So they're
And is that because they don't, maybe they haven't got them committing anything before, it's a first-time offence or something like that?
Oh, they'll all plead that it was their first offence, I'm sure of that. And, of course, that's difficult to refute if you haven't nicked them beforehand. However, sentencing guidelines, prisons, young offenders institutes, all of those bursting at the seams, I'm sure that the sentencing guidelines have been a factor here. But let me tell you why it's so pointless to give somebody 2 years. They will only serve a year of that inside. And then the second half of that sentence will be served in the community. Well, we all know the kind of communities they hang about in, don't we?
And so you're not confident then when they come back out, then they won't actually just go back to what they were doing?
Because the waiting list, generally speaking, in a prison, to get on any kind of course, where it be vocational, educational or psychological, whereby you can confront your offending, admit your guilt and develop into a better human being, the waiting list for those courses in prison is about a year anyway. So, unfortunately, I feel they're just going to go to crime academies, do their second year with their tag, wearing it as a badge of honour. And if they're allowed to stay in the UK because they're British citizens, then I'm sure some of these people are, unfortunately for us, going to re-offend.
But I wonder as well whether the police could learn something from the fact that because they're out there on the street, this is the way that they can win against crime, because I've been seeing quite a lot of people recently in various parts of the country saying, oh, guess what? I saw a policeman on the beat today in some part of Cornwall or in some part of Lincolnshire. And, you know, amazingly, the people that would normally be hanging around sort of being a nuisance and sort of getting involved in antisocial behaviour weren't doing it.
We haven't been wasting our time for all these years when we've been banging on about it. People, and others, of course, have been loud voices as well. Hopefully, the police are listening. There's an awful lot of work to be done, and there is still many, many things about policing that they've got to get much, much better. But we don't want social work. We don't want police playing politics. They've got to grow up, especially the senior police, who prowl the corridors of power and think that it's all rather wonderful to be in the corridors of the House of Commons, for example. And those kind of places. What they've got to realise is that ideologically, whether it's far left or far right of politics, the police are seen as a great oppressor.
Right.
So politicians don't really like the police on an ideological level.
Right.
So don't try and make friends with them.
No.
Have whatever interactions you need to, but focus on policing. Give the public what they want. People being rugby tackled, people being whacked if need be, tasered if need be, and dare I say it, shot if need be.
Yeah.
And deal with it. Do some policing. The public love it, want it.
I mean, there's no shortage of bad guys out there. There's plenty of work to be done. I mean, they always say we haven't got enough police. Well, get some more police and do some more of that.
Yeah, get away from the social work. If police officers love the social work side of it, you know, and they enjoy sitting behind a desk and doing stuff which isn't remotely connected to frontline policing, then go and be a social worker and let somebody else come into the police who wants to nick bad people.
Yeah. It's not very difficult, this, is it?
Even the commissioner said he would like to be undercover. He said it today. He'd like to be undercover. If they need an oldie to pose as a victim, well, I know Sir Mark Rowley's face is pretty kind of recognisable, but I'd pay for the aesthetics. Yeah. So, you know, wigs and a different nose.
Why not?
And all that kind of stuff. We're getting some training from an actor to walk with a stoop or with a stick, make him look incredibly vulnerable because he holds the office of constable still. He might be commissioner, but he's also a constable. What a thing that would be if the commish got a little bit of undercover training, went out, was a decoy and contributed to yet more bad people getting locked up.
I'd love it. I think most people would love it. Brilliant stuff. Peter, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Peter Bleksley there, talking about what most people, I think, say is a massive blight on our society all over the place. Just robbing people on the street, not being able to go out at night without fear of being attacked, that kind of thing. We'll sort it out. We'll get to it.